said, I work in lab services. Some of you may know me. I have worked on our capacity planning tool over the years, and this new tool is actually an extension of the capacity planning tool. It's part of the capacity planning tool suite, and we call it CPT MCM, or metered capacity modeling. So the idea is to create a model or a simulation of your existing workloads and what would they look like in a PEP 2.0 environment. So this will help us not only size, we have tools to size the physical systems, but the question becomes, well, how do we size for base capacity? And where is the optimal amount of base based on our workload history and the statistical frequency of those workload peaks? So if you have peaks that are infrequent, it is typically better to pay for them with the utility minutes. So as an example, the price, as Joe had shown you, the $240 capacity credit will get you a rate of about 2 cents per minute for AIX. So that's the price you would pay if you had metered AIX above the base. Now, if you were to purchase a core ahead of time, so you buy an activation, you pay hardware maintenance on that activation over, let's say, 3 years. You buy a AIX one-time charge for a license, and then you pay software maintenance over 3 years. It would cost about a penny a minute to run. So for every core that you have licensed over 3 years, it will cost about a penny a minute. So obviously, there's a premium to going to the metered rate. However, if you use that metered rate less than half the time, it works out kind of conveniently that way to explain it. So if you use it less than half the time at a certain point, it makes more sense to pay as you go. And so you can actually save quite a bit of money if you study your workloads and see that they're very peaky, and I'll show you how we can do that. The next slide, please. So this is part of our normal discussion. I'm not going to talk about the private cloud solution with shared utility capacity as Joe has gotten into that. And I'm not going to get into too much about the CPT suite, but I do want to talk about how we do collect data so you can understand what it would take if you were interested in this study, what you would need to give us. Next slide, please. So again, just as a reminder, this will be something that we can use on any of our systems, so scale out or scale up, that support the solution. So we've done 40 to 50 of these studies so far, and I'd say about 10 to 15% of them have been on scale out boxes. So just as a observation I have, the scale out PEP 2.0 is not as good a value as it is on the scale up systems. Part of that is because we have to price the S922 and 924 as one class of systems, even though there's two of them. And the other thing is compared to the price of the price of the activations, there's not a big difference. It's a little bit better activation wise to just pay for a fully activated 922, 924. However, where it does come into play is if you have the software licenses, of course, don't have to be the full system. So this is where we can look and see, and especially with IBM I on the scale out, you can see a tremendous savings if you have these different workload peaks. So I just want to point out that this solution and this study that we can do can be on either scale out or scale up. Next slide. All right, so you've seen this before. This purple line and this green line show you the savings you get with pooling, right? So that first order of savings that you get with PEP 2.0 is not unlike what you get with PEP 1.0. It's almost as if we could consolidate your workloads onto one 800 core system or 1200 core system, right? You take all of your servers and you stack them up, and you can take advantage of the fact that everything can add up these residual cores into one total core per minute. So that first green arrow gets us to a point where we have this pool consolidation savings. And you could almost do that PEP 1.0. PEP 1.0 could almost get that green line. There's a couple problems. One is, you can't move fractional cores between systems. So PEP 1.0 can't be perfectly aligned to that peak. So you may have to move that line up a little bit for PEP 1.0. And the other thing is, obviously, you have to make sure that you move resources where they're needed when they're needed. So that PEP 1.0 relies on automation like Power HA Roja or Power VC doing DRO or what have you. So the beauty of PEP 2.0 is that green line is exactly, if your workloads continue like that, you will never need more than what that green line is to the actual fraction of a core. So that's how that'll work. So a lot of times this is where the messaging stops and we say, hey, look at this great consolidation you get. But what we can do with lab services, and Joe, if you could just advance just slowly, one more, two more, I think. Yeah, one more. It should be, is it redrawing? Ah, there we go. Okay. So I think Joe alluded to this, that there's this other line that we can find, this optimal base, which is where we can look at the statistical frequency of the workload peaks and say, above this line, it is more economical to pay by the minute. That 2 cents a minute is actually more economical than paying 1 cent a minute for something you're underutilizing, and in some cases drastically underutilizing. We can see. So that's what our study can uncover. What we do is we take your historical workloads, we model them as power 9, so we can take anything going back, as far as we can. As long as we can get 1 minute samples, we can make it look like PEP 2.0.